Werewolves Within. What can I say about it? You got to play it to see for yourself. I really, really, really like this game. So first of all, if you have the PlayStation VR, or this is also on Rift and the Vive, if you have VR and you're a social person, like you like social drinking games or card games, then this is the game for you. First of all, you are sitting around a campfire or a table or whatever with a crystal ball on this table. And there is villagers around you. And each one of those villagers is a player, another real live player. So this is a full online experience. If you don't have internet, you're not online, do not get this game. There is no offline modes to it. It is all online. So you have all these different characters, and they're all cartoons. It's a very creepy but fun cartoon art style. And you will get lost in it, just like other VR games, of looking around at the sights you see, the old castles and the village and the town and gypsy caravans and things like that. So it's really cool to sit there and experience this. So, what is Werewolves Within? What's the rules? How do you play? There's a lot to go into this. It's simple yet very complicated, like most of the great social games or card games. So, first things first, you have a group of villagers, and everyone's given a role. And that role is your class or whatever. You're given a card, essentially, and it has who you are in this match. And there are some players, a minimum of one at least every game. I've seen up to 3 or 4 at times, werewolves. And the goal is to bluff, if you're a werewolf, bluff your way out and act like you are just a villager. And the goal of the villagers and their different types of classes and roles, their job is through logic and discussion, figure out, and with some clues, figure out who are the werewolves. Now, with a few minor other little tiny rules in there, smidgened in, if you would. I won't get into the various classes and all that, but there are some classes where there's a turncoat and a deviant, and you want to get the players to vote for you, even though you are a human player. But I don't want to get into too much of the complications. But it is an awesome game. It does take a lot of thinking to do this, and all you have is your voice and some clues in your book that tell you how to play this role. And if you're a werewolf, you're bluffing, and you want to be good at bluffing and get the heat on somebody else. So that is cool. There are tutorials that I highly suggest everybody. Don't even go into a game unless you've read all the tutorials and watched all the tutorials and learned how to play every class. And there's still a little bit of a learning curve when you get into your first game. So don't be the person that goes in there and doesn't know, well, I'm a werewolf, what does that mean? Because you just blown it, you just ruined that game for everybody else. So I highly advise, read the tutorials. It takes 15-20 minutes to go through them all. It's not bad. Absorb all the information and go do the very best. In a couple games, you're going to pick it up and you're going to be the master of Werewolves Within. Talking about the people in this game. A game like this is made or broken with the people that you're playing with. I've been in some games where it was a lot of serious people and we had a great time, and you really, if you're going game after game, your group stays together for the most part, and some new people will come in and out and people will leave, but your core group will keep playing together, and you really develop relationships with these people. And the crazy thing is that I've met a few people online that I've played with over 30 games with, and some people, sometimes when I log back in, I'll see the same people I've played with before, and then, hey, how it's going. And it's funny that you start in your mind seeing these players, these real-life people, as their avatars, because the avatars do such a great job of understanding the inflection of your voice. If you're shouting or if you're questioning, and the lowness of it, they will correspondingly move, and they're animated, and they will act accordingly, and their eyes will also act to the tone of your voice, which is really, really cool. It adds such a life to the characters and to the avatars. So people make this experience. But let me tell you this much. I've had some bad experiences. The first bad experience I had was a guy that I played with probably 9 or 10 games. He was in a core group. We were rotating through, and some other players had joined in because a few people had left. They were done for the evening. And I watched this other guy, who was a really good player up until then, made a simple mistake right off the bat and revealed that he was a werewolf. Okay, so instead of everyone laughing it up, get a free win, or let's restart the game and find each other, whatever, this dude was chastised. And they wanted to kick him, and they were yelling at him, and it got to the point where he was like, screw it, I'm leaving. And when he left, I had to speak up for him, and I was like, you know what, that's not right, A. B, the dude was a good player because I've been playing with him for 10 plus games, and the guy makes a mistake and we're going to ridicule him. Okay, I didn't know we were playing with a bunch of perfect people, but you will find some perfect people out there in this game, and they'll let you know about it a lot. Second bad experience I had was a group of kids came in. Now, by kids, this is E for everyone, but I would steer clear if I had children in VR of this game, because there is no language filters. It says E for everybody, but you can't rate language. I can sit in there and drop F-bombs and say terribly horrible things, and there's no filter. If everybody would accept it and not kick me out for it, then a child could wander right into one of these games and hear these things. So that would be a concern of mine. If you want to get it, make sure, if you're a parent and you have kids and you want, it's still great. It's still super fun when it's all working. And I think overall the community does a good job of, not catering to the children, but giving them a little bit, kind of being respectful of that sense. And some people, it's a gem. I've played with some teenagers who I swore they were in their 30s or 40s on how well behaved and mannered they were and how logical they played. So you get an all mix of life. But I did play in a bad game where a lot of children were goofing around, and the adults in the group were obviously fed up by it, and the game kind of went nowhere, almost to a stalemate. And everybody kind of gets real crabby and pissy when that happens. And they booted out all the kids, or they all left. And it happens. Not everybody's going to give you the greatest game. There also seems to be a problem when there's not enough information given and no one wants to bluff, or just everyone's just being silent. A lot of people have a problem with that too, and they get very frustrated, like, well, we don't have any clues, we're not going to figure out who the werewolves are. And my thing is, well, yeah, that's the fact, that's the truth, but I guess it's in the cards this time that the werewolves are playing a great game. Not every game, everyone needs to remember this, not every game is going to reveal a clear-cut answer to who the werewolves are. And logical discussions, everyone needs to understand that logical discussions are what drives this game. You can't say, I swear I'm something, because in the next game you're going to lie. You can't get sick when everyone says, I'm a villager, because I've played games where 7 or 8 people and all of us say, we're a villager. That's the common bluff. People get sick of that, and they want to try to develop creative ways. And I've played with some great players who, if you get the game, you understand. But I've seen them be werewolves, and they bluff that they were a drifter, and they're giving out extra clues. And I'm like, oh, you're gonna get busted, And you've seen such strategy and so much fun. Perfect game to crack a beer open to, just sitting around on a weekend and having some fun and meeting new people and having a great time. But again, if you're not a social person, stay clear. If you're not comfortable having the gameplay is here, folks. It's all here. If you're not comfortable with speaking and interacting with people, stay clear of this game, because you are literally sitting in a room together in the VR and chatting and discussing and playing this game. it'd be like a VR Monopoly. And most of the time, Monopoly, I won't say most of the time, but sometimes the table gets flipped at the end of a Monopoly game, and that's sometimes how this ends too. It's just good that the rules are built in and no one can, break the rules or cheat, which is pretty cool. Although I have cheated with some players before. We've made some pacts online to actually always tell the truth to each other, whether it meant a one loss, a loss for one or the other. It didn't matter, but we did. I've come across some good relationships like that online, so that was pretty fun. And I'm sorry, guys, sorry, community, but yeah, I was a cheater on a couple games, but I still had fun. So to wrap it all up, Werewolves Within from Ubisoft, who they're really embracing the VR, and they're getting what they're doing. They're getting practice making these little experience games and pumping out and they're really testing the field and seeing what they can do. And I guarantee the first big name, now not including Resident Evil 7, but the first big company that's going to put out that full-priced $60 VR game that's going to be great, it's going to be Ubisoft, because they're doing it. They're not afraid to go out and experiment, throw these types of games out and see it. And it's going to all click into one huge game. Eventually, I feel it. I feel it coming. So anyway, for $29.99, if you have VR, if you're a social person, get this game. It is a great value, tons of replayability. If you have fun your first game, then it's never a dull game, because it is different every single time. So if you like what I said and you think this sounds interesting, go out and buy it. I do not think that you will feel cheated by it. So good job to Ubisoft, and hopefully they keep cranking out more VR games. I'm Havoc J. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya.